Hello neighbor, this is Curt with etrailer, and today we're taking a look at the Thule WingBar Roof Rack, and we're going to see how it installs and how it works with our 2024 Chevy Trailblazer. Now, a roof rack is an excellent way to carry some of that extra cargo that either won't fit or you don't want in the ride with you on your journey. Other ways include like a trailer or a hitch cargo. However, the hitch capacity on the Trailblazer isn't all that great, and frankly, because the vehicle's not that tall, putting things up on the roof is probably a lot more convenient, and it doesn't increase the foot of your Trailblazer, basically making something coming all the way off the back of it. That can make it difficult to find places to park and maneuver and whatnot. Getting it up on the roof can be a bit more convenient for you. But the Thule WingBar is an aero crossbar, and what that means is it's got kind of an elliptical shape. It's a little wider in the front, more of a blade shape in the back. But that shape actually helps us out with reducing vibration while you're driving with it up here, and therefore it's going to reduce a lot of the road noise. It's going to be a much quieter ride than you'll get with, say, square bars or round bars. These are 47-inch bars with an overhang, so that leaves us a lot of room to put accessories up here. Being an overhanging crossbar, it does maybe give us the opportunity to put things side by side. However, it is always really, really important to remember that while these crossbars do have a weight capacity of 165 pounds, you do want to double check your owner's manual and see what the roof capacity is for the vehicle. Whichever of those numbers is lower, that's the amount of weight you're going to be able to carry. So, as long as they're light enough of accessories, you do have an opportunity with the overhang to go side by side, as opposed to a flush set of crossbars where they dead end into our tower. That really forces you to put everything toward the middle. This also has a weather strip T-track up at the top. That weather stripping is going to help fill the gap and reduce the road noise. You can flip up the end cap here and use the split in that T-track to mount any of T-track accessories that you might have as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at how it fits on our Trailblazer. Now, our vehicle today has the flush rails up here at the top. So there are fixed mounting points. So we're not really going to be able to move these crossbars forward or back or closer or further apart. We're very, very limited in that. So the way that we've got it set up today, we did set it up in a way that we got this as far forward as we could, this as far back as we could, because we want to maximize our crossbar spread. Crossbar spread is a really important thing to know because every rooftop accessory that you come across is going to have a minimum and a maximum spread. So depending on that, it's going to depend on whether or not you could use that accessory. So if we go from the middle of our T-track on the front bar to the middle on the back bar, we're at exactly 28 inches. And that's actually a really good spread. Most rooftop accessories fall between the 25 and 35 inch mark. We're pretty close to the middle of that, so I'm not worried about coming across too many things that I won't be able to put up here. The other thing that I want to check out is what kind of room do we have underneath the crossbar. And for that, we've got 4¼ inches, more than enough room for any of those clamp-mounted accessories to get around underneath and attach to our bars. But what about how tall does it make the vehicle? Well, if we go from the center of the roof up to the top of the crossbar, we're at 5¾ inches. So depending on the height of your accessory, if you want to add that to that 5¾ and then the vehicle height, you'll get your overall vehicle height with the accessory up there on the top. Now, I had mentioned that these have fixed mounting points, so installation is actually fairly easy. So follow along and I'll show you exactly how we got these up on the roof of our Trailblazer. So the first thing we'll need to do during the installation is to get up on the roof of our Trailblazer. We're going to locate some different mounting points here, and they're going to have this plug over it as well that you're going to have to remove. These plugs are a little more difficult to remove than some of the other plugs that we've come across. What you're going to want to have with you is a trim tool, a utility knife, and a flathead screwdriver. And what you'll want to do is use the utility knife to separate it from the edge. While you're putting pressure behind it, you're going to use the flathead to basically back it out enough to give you enough of a gap to use your trim tool to be able to pop it out. Once the plugs are removed, we're going to take one of our brackets and 2 of our bolts. We're also going to grab the included Allen tool that came with our fit kit, and we're essentially going to be lining these up so that this kind of tab here portion of it is going over our rail. So we'll line it up here with the bolt holes. I'm going to go ahead and grab one of my bolts and thread it in. I'm just threading it in by hand. I'm not going to completely tighten anything down yet, because I do want to be able to maneuver this a little bit before I do. And I'm going to set my second bolt. Now, this is a very important thing to do. When we've got it on here, obviously the bolt hole is a little bit slotted, so it could be moved back and forth a little bit. Whatever you're doing with the bar completely opposite of you, make sure you do the same thing. That way we can make sure that our bars are going to be perpendicular to our rails and parallel to our other crossbar. So because I want to kind of maximize our crossbar spread, I moved the bracket in the back all the way to the back. I'm going to move the brackets here in the front that we're doing right now all the way to the front, just like this. So now that I've got it in the position I want it, I'm going to grab my Allen tool and I'm going to completely tighten it down. And with our bracket in place, it's time to turn our attention to our crossbar and our towers. And we have to begin with our tower assembly. So in order to do that, we're going to have our towers here, and we're also going to have what was included in our fit kit, which is going to be a couple of bracket pieces along with a rubber foot pad here. And one of the great things that I like about Thule is they do make these assemblies rather easy. Each of these pieces is stamped with a letter. We have the letter A stamped here, the letter B here, and the letter C here. And this essentially tells us what order these pieces are going to be put on to our tower. So we're going to start by removing our tower cover, and we're going to have a bolt here with this kind of a different shape type of nut on the end of it. We're going to completely take that off. Once that's removed, we're going to take part A here. We're going to slip it into where these two tabs fit right into these holes up here, along with the bolt going through the hole in the middle, just like so. At this point, we'll turn it upside down, and as you can see, these holes and that are going to line up on the bottom here. We're going to bring this under. We're going to make sure that that back part of the clamp, that part A that we just put on, is fitting over the pad, and we're just going to press it down into place and make sure we got a good flush fit with that. Once that's all done, we're going to go ahead and take part C here. We're going to slip this over that tab there, and we're going to have the bolt coming through here in the middle like so. At this point, we're going to grab that kind of different shaped nut and we're going to secure it back on. So now that we've got a rubber pad and we've got a clamp here to go around our brackets. So we're going to just set that aside for just a moment, and we're going to come here to our crossbar, and this is the underside of the bar. We got a tab here that we're going to depress and remove our end cap. Once we do that, with this bolt hole facing the outside of the bar, we've got these kind of T-slots here. We're going to use that and just slide that on into place. Once that's on, we're going to go ahead and replace our end cap so it doesn't slip off on us. With the wider end of the crossbar facing the front of the vehicle, the narrower end facing the rear, we're going to go ahead and get this mounted up on our brackets. Now, if you have somebody to help you, that's great. A small step ladder could work too if you're shorter, but I'm just going to maneuver this a little bit just to get it right over that bracket over there. And I'm going to do the same here. And what I'm also doing is I'm making sure that the front part of the clamp is going to line up here. The back part of the clamp is going to go through this slot in the back of the bracket right here. And really the rubber foot pad should kind of fit over it just perfectly and snugly. So we're going to get that lined up on both sides. Once I've got both sides done to where the clamps are going through the bracket right where I want them, I'm going to go ahead and just hand tighten this bolt. I'm just looking to get it snug, because while this gets tightened, it does two things. One, it's going to clamp around here and tighten these clamps up around our bracket, but two, it's also going to make our crossbar stationary, and right now I want it maneuverable so that before we tighten it down, I can make sure that we've got an equal amount of overhang on the bar on each side, just making sure that our crossbars are lined up. So while you're able to maneuver the crossbar, we're going to make sure that the overhang is even. We're going to grab our measuring tape. We're going to measure here on our driver's side. We're going to go ahead and match that measurement on the passenger side and basically maneuver it a little bit until we get it even. Now we've gone ahead and done that already, and what we ended up with was about 3 3/4 inches from the edge of our tower to the end of our bar. That does match on both sides, so we know we have an even crossbar. And with that being said, at this point I'm going to take the included Thule tool and I'm going to use it on this bolt right here. Now, we made both sides snug by hand, right? But we want to tighten these down incrementally, because if I over tighten one side, it could actually shift it a little bit and become uneven. So I'm going to basically give it, 3 or 4 turns on one side. I'm going to go ahead and move over to the passenger side and do the same thing and just work my way back and forth until I get it completely tightened down. And this Thule tool is actually a torquing tool, so once you get it tight enough, you'll hear a click just like that. Once you hear that, you know it got it tightened down completely, so make sure that happens on all 4 of the towers. So the installation of this is exactly the same as our back crossbar. The only difference really being is that because the rails taper, you're going to have a different tower spread, basically a different overhang right here. The last step in our installation is going to be to replace our tower covers. But before I do, I wanted to give you a look at this. When you purchase these initially, it's going to come with a plastic lock core that you can actually lock and unlock using a simple flathead screwdriver. While convenient, it's not very secure. You can, however, through Thule's one-key system, purchase lock cores and keys that are going to be key-alike, so you could get a set of locks for each of your 4 towers, all using the same key, and you could get a key-alike to your other Thule accessories. But to replace this on here, we're just going to need to snap it on, just like so. We'll take our flathead and lock it into place. And with that, our installation is complete. But if after watching this video you decide that the Thule WingBar crossbars are the roof rack system that you want for your Trailblazer and you get it, you install it, you get to use it a few times, please share what you think about it in the comments below. We would love to share your experience with other neighbors so they can make the best decision for themselves. Once again, this is Curt with eTrailer. Thanks for stopping by.